This month has also gotten off to a deadly start for American and NATO forces in Afghanistan. With a total of 9 killed over the weekend, they include 6 Americans, 2 Canadians, and 1 French soldier. With Afghanistan's elections less than 3 weeks away and the number of foreign troops in that country increasing steadily, we turn again to Karin von Hippel, a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, for some analysis. She joins us from Washington. Nice to have you back.
Thank you.
We had a record number of casualties last month, and August is already off to a bad start. Why are so many more troops dying, and has there been a change in the mission that causes this?
Unfortunately, I think this was anticipated. Not only is the summer the fighting season in Afghanistan, but also, of course, we've deployed or starting to deploy an additional 21,000 U.S. troops. The Europeans and other NATO allies are bringing in extra troops for security for the elections. And so on the military leadership side, they anticipated more casualties because there will be more fighting. Now, the hope was that the greater fighting will provide greater security in the long term. And so the offensive that has been underway over the past few weeks should hopefully lead to security in the longer term.
And I want to ask you about this bombing that took place in western Afghanistan. This is an area that we haven't traditionally seen being very violent. Is that part of the signal coming from the Taliban?
Yeah, I think that the message is that nowhere is safe. So traditionally, the West and the North have been safer than the South and the East, where the violence is quite heavy. But really, even in the North, more recently, we've seen greater attacks. And so I think the Taliban message is that, the Afghan government can't provide security anywhere in the country, and the international troops really can't prevent this from happening.
As we mentioned, the vote is going to be on August 20th, and you're going to be in Afghanistan to be an election observer. What will you be looking for during the voting, and what is the best we can hope for from that process?
Right. I mean, it'll be quite challenging for international election observers because of the security. Now, there are a number of Afghan monitors that are already out in the regions, and they will be deployed in greater numbers on election day. Generally, you look for fraud, you look for intimidation, you look for security, preventing people from voting. So the normal things that you look for in these types of environments. But really the hope is that the election will come off so that we can have a safe democratic transition in Afghanistan.
And what's at stake beyond just which person wins Afghanistan's presidency?
Well, this is the second presidential election. Transitions are incredibly important in emerging democracies and in democratic transitions. And so if this election can go off as fairly and freely as possible, it will mark a very important step in the transition to democracy in Afghanistan. And
currently the front runner is
still Karzai, although his challengers are increasing their own support in the last few weeks. So it's anybody's guess right now.
And before you go, I want to ask you, what's the status of the massive offensive that was launched in the south in Helmand province?
Right. I mean, the Brits and the Americans have both gone on the offensive. They're both declaring victory, but really what they need to do, and they're very aware of it, is to try to hold and build in those areas that have been cleared. And so development projects, infrastructure projects, so that people feel safe, that they can return home and start trying to have some sort of normalcy, and so that the Taliban don't come back and take these areas again like they've done in the past.
Karin von Hippel, we appreciate very much your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.